From Studio A at 1 Biloxi Square in Lake Worth, Texas. Welcome in, everyone, to the Grandpa and Pappy Show as we start a brand new week off together.
You tell them.
I hope you had a great weekend and everybody is safe and nobody got sick. So, sound and ready to face the week.
That's right.
But Mondays are the hardest days. I will say that.
Today's Monday. How was your weekend there, amigo?
Full of work.
Full of work.
No time off.
Making that money.
Well, I don't know about that, but we sure worked a lot.
You got beans on your table?
Yeah.
You did good.
Well, no, not with her. I don't ever have beans unless they come out of a can.
You poor guy.
Yeah, well, you know.
Are those gasless?
That's the way it is.
Canned beans.
Got an interesting topic for everybody today. How do you feel about mail-in ballots? It seems to be a very hot topic and a subject, and according to some of you, it is kind of rubbing you the wrong way too, which we'll get into here in just a few minutes.
Unless, of course, you're a Democrat.
Noticed where Speaker of the House Pelosi called the House back into session and have passed a bill to fund the post office through January of 2021. It's not basically because of the mail-in ballots or anything. It's because post office is out of money.
They want some money too, by God.
And they need to have money for services.
Yeah.
But it's still got to go through the House and then wind up on our president's desk. And we'll see where that goes.
In your wildest dreams, would you have ever thought, coming up through the years, that the post office would be in a 9-line bind like they are?
No.
First the
Not at all.
milkman, now the mailman.
Well, yeah, a lot of things have changed over the years, bro. So I don't know. It's one of those things that just kind of makes you scratch your head a little bit because because they are budgeted billions of dollars every year, and they still can't get it right.
Yeah.
You know, how many times you go to your mailbox and you have other people's mail in there?
Quite often.
And how many times have something gotten lost in the mail? Many times, if you ask me. So evidently that's a sore subject for a lot of you guys.
Yeah.
As we get into our comments that you sent in, and there was some really good ones today, I will say.
As usual.
We're starting it off. Casey Palmore said, if masks work like we're told they do, there's no need for additional mail-in ballots. That's a good point.
Very good point.
Short, sweet, and to the point.
Yep.
I'm telling you.
Alexander Schmittnecht, I hope I got that right, Alexander, asked, would anyone who said no care to give any reasons they are so against this? You realize our military mails in ballots every year. If it's good enough for them, why not the public?
Alexander, you got to realize that the military, when they cast their votes, it's taken directly to a balloting area where they are counted. They're not mailed in.
This is true.
So there's a little difference there as opposed to the general public.
Well, there's a different agenda behind it.
There is a different agenda. And, you talk about absentee voting, you have got to request a ballot.
Yep.
And they will send it directly to you. You fill it out, and then you either take it to a polling place, drop it off, or mail it back to them. But you have to ask them for it.
And why in the hell is everybody making such a big deal about going to the polls and voting? I mean, it's
just one of their excuses.
We're a lazy nation.
No, it's not that. It's just, well, I won't go into it because it's political. But anyway, it's just one of those reasons why they want to try to do a little more fraud. Billy Bryan answered Alexander by saying, example A, how do you know that the correct person is actually voting?
Yeah.
Example B, if you can go to the grocery store, church, or protest, you can vote. Example C, this is what the damn Democrats want. Illegal voting, felons, and dead people. In short, this is an end run around voter ID, which is also in the damn Democrats' playbook.
I'm inclined to agree with Big Billy. I really am.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Russell Curlin also answered Alexander by saying we had to fill out the form and prove who we were to mail them in. And that's only a small percentage of the population.
Mm-hmm.
Try that at 100-fold, and with people being people, a lot of votes could disappear.
Mm-hmm. Or
That's
a lot
good
more,
point,
or a lot more votes than what was anticipated would appear.
Yeah,
Put it that way.
works out about the same both sides.
Yeah. Lisa newcomer Byram said no. Vote in person. If the Democrats want this as bad as they do, then that tells me the cheating bastards are up to no good. Well, Lisa, tell us exactly how you feel.
What is it all
girlfriend.
about, by God? Renee Crinian reminded us that absentee votes and mail-in ballots are two different things.
Basically what I was talking about just a few minutes ago. Let's see here. Bob Baker sent this in. He says, I'm a purist when it comes to voting. I vote in person on election day. If third world citizens can risk being killed for voting, then a toothless, growly bear pandemic shouldn't be a reason not to vote in person. I am really losing confidence in the American people for being such cowards. Okay.
One way to put it, I guess.
I guess that is, yeah.
James O'Donnell asked, would you mail $1,000 in cash across the country? Well, there's your answer.
I wouldn't. No, heck
I
no.
wouldn't even mail $1,000 check across the country anymore.
Really, it's true. Johnny Northcutt said, no, why should we do that? Go to the polling place and vote. Jerry Blum agreed by saying no way on the mail-in ballots. If you can go to Walmart, Lowe's, or Home Depot, you can vote in person.
Well, it ain't Big Jerry. All he got to do is walk out his back gate and he's there.
Yeah, he really is. I mean,
Literally, yeah.
that's a true statement.
But that is well said, and I agree with him. Pamela Wright Graham down in Houston area, Janice Parker, Michelle Purviance Brown, and Casey Davis Green all said mail-in ballots are not good.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people
Yeah.
sent in comments. Man,
Yes, sir.
man. John Bossy said, I believe the options currently in place, absentee mail-in, early voting, and day of voting, are adequate. Everything is a scare tactic. Mass mailings have potential for even more voter fraud than the current mail-in system that has rampant voter harvesting by the DNC. We need to ask ourselves why one party is opposed to voter ID and in-person voting. Is it perhaps because they can't manipulate the numbers?
Bingo. I mean, and if you remember back, even when they went to the electronic votes in person,
Mm-hmm.
you just go in and you push a button.
Mm-hmm.
Even then, they were screwing with the numbers.
Yeah.
You know.
That's
Of course, they said it was a technical glitch.
Mm-hmm.
Never heard the other side called that before.
Well, they're working on the bell tower today, I see.
Yeah, they are. They're tuning up the chime. Judy Gilly says if we can go to the grocery store and wear a mask, then we can go vote in person. It's just another ploy for the Democrats to rig the election in their favor. Julie Wooten Rand agreed with what Judy said.
Well, there you go.
And so do I.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Cindy Gail Roberts Thomas said, in my opinion, mail-in ballots only encourage even more deceit and cheating.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe the American people have had more than enough of this up to date. I think voter fraud is a major issue as it is, and this will only add to it.
Yeah.
Very, very good opinion, Cindy Gail.
And things like this are going to happen until they're stopped.
Excuse me.
So,
That's true.
Barbara Michelle Thompson said, I don't know what the big deal is with presenting a valid ID when you vote. We have to show an ID to board a plane to get credit, buy a car or house, or any other legitimate thing.
She's right.
Are Democrats so scared they're going to get caught cheating by rushing illegals in to vote? Just show your damned ID and be glad you're an American and vote the way you want legitimately. It's as simple as that. Very well said, Barbara.
She just kind of put it bluntly, didn't she? I love it.
That's what we need, some bluntness.
Holy Toledo. John Bossy came back. John is a very analytical person. Mm-hmm. And he loves to chime in on conversations on some heavy thoughts. But he come back and he chimed into the conversation again to say, do some research. Look at the 2000 presidential election. Yep. Florida had major issues.
Bingo.
Why? Because of ballot harvesting by DNC operatives. In recent primaries, ballots have been lost, manipulated, and tampered with. 6 people were recently indicted in New Jersey, which is a fact. Mass mailing is a nightmare. That's the only area most people disagree with. With an ID, you can order a ballot to mail or hand deliver.
I think.
There's a key, though.
It is.
ID.
Yeah.
Democrats don't want you to have to show an ID.
But even at that, I mean, in their earmark clearly with a D and an R, whether you're Democrat or Republic, I'm trying to be nice and safely assume that that's for separating of the mail. But you know what? If the post office is not that busy, do your job. Just put them in one pile and let somebody else sort them.
Ain't it so?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Ain't it so?
I think they ought to do away with the mail ballot myself. That's nuts.
Well, I think it should be mandatory anywhere to have to show your ID because, as Barbara pointed out just a few minutes ago, you have to show an ID to get on a plane.
You can't even buy a pack of cigarettes without having to flash an ID.
That's right.
Like we look under 21.
Yeah.
I mean, really?
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
I'm 21 and a half.
But come on. I mean, it's mandatory. Show that you are who you are.
Yep.
And then these excuses about, well, that's discriminatory because there are some of our people that don't have IDs. Well, go out and get one.
Well, that's what IDs were designed to do, to identify you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like a law.
Oh man, it's just like a raw butthole. It just never goes away.
It can't be messed with. Marie West Foster said no, it should never be done. Marty Blackwood Briscoe also said no, I would rather do it in person. Eddie Dixon said yes, so the Democrats can win. That's the only way they can, to which Barbara Cameron Carey says it's corrupting our election.
It is that.
One of many things that they'll try to do just that.
Alexander was reading all of these comments by people. He came back. Alexander Schmidtneck came back to answer Barbara Cameron Carey by saying, like the Republicans did in Wisconsin when they redrew lines, you closed rural and urban polling places, making some poor folks travel over 30 miles to vote. And I bet they did it in the snow.
Barefooted with a pail of water in each hand.
Yeah, both sides are dirty.
Yeah,
that's how he.
Well, they are, and I agree with that. I mean, politics.
Mm-hmm.
Brent Hardy answered Alexander by saying the same lines the Democrats redraw every time they take power. Bobby Harley agreed by saying, "Oh, it only counts when the stupid liberals notice it, but not when they do it. Dems encourage it so they can manipulate the outcome."
I love you guys out there. Y'all have some of the greatest comments.
Reckon old Brent's a Dem? I don't think so.
Susan Macaluso said no, and no one is mentioning the tsunami flood of mail the various counties will be handling when they arrive to be counted and verified. And she has got a great point.
Sue Mack is a pretty sharp cookie. She knows some stuff, I think. Justin L. Phillips is against it, saying there's no real measurable way to count or keep track of the mail-in ballots.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hitting the nail on the head right there.
That's just keeping it short, sweet, and to the point, isn't it?
Good.
Diane McMahon Wall says she is voting by mail. She is 65 plus with a health condition. I just don't understand the difference. Well, Diane, first of all, we hope you're okay. We hope you get to be a lot better with your condition, your health condition. And under those circumstances, I can certainly appreciate the fact that there are some senior citizens out there that are sick or disabled and cannot vote, that want to vote. Now, these are the people that the government should be sending ballots to. And with an ID, a valid ID, they can cast their vote and mail it back in. But Diane, that's a good point, and I stand by you being a senior citizen. I am too.
And my question, Miss Di, is this. I grew up with Diane. After 50 plus years of being a friend, how come I don't know you have a health condition? You look healthy as a rodeo mule to me, so don't look like one. But
now, Diane, he said that. I didn't. Hold on, Miss Karen. Let me get you all turned on here. Hold on a second. Okay, what you got?
Well, I think for people in that situation or over 70 that have health conditions, they request the ballot.
Yeah.
Because I know,
Your mom?
not Mom, but Mike, he requests his mail-in ballot every time.
Yeah.
But I think they have to request it and then they send it.
Okay.
For the senior citizens.
Well, I can understand that. I mean, if they can request
it's like absentee voting
Sure.
for them.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's the same.
Well, I mean, it's just like a stimulus check. Use the system for what it was designed to do.
Exactly. Well put. Yeah. Exactly.
Let's see here. Keith Upchurch reminded Diane that if you vote absentee, you have to ask for a ballot. That's not the problem. The problem lies with the different states and the way they're asking for ballots. If everyone is sent a ballot, it is possible that either someone else could use that ballot or that multiple ballots could be sent to the same deceased people.
Good point.
The same or deceased people, which has happened in the past. It could cause a lot of ballots to be thrown out. And personally, I'm going to vote in person with early voting. Everyone has time to do that if they want to get out and vote.
And
Well said, Keith.
Yeah, he's telling you exactly the way it is.
Well, I mean, that's the way it's been
Forever.
Yeah. You way long before we come about. So.
And I'll tell you what, Americans, and Pappy, one of our comments earlier, Americans have gotten so lazy.
Yeah.
And then another one pointed out the fact that if people in foreign countries can risk going out and actually getting killed for voting and speaking their minds.
Just so they can have that right to do so.
Yeah. And here we are arguing about mail-in ballots and voter fraud and all that. Just go to the polls, show them your ID and voter registration, and vote. That's all.
Very simple thing to do.
Tuni Haha says only for the older folks and others who are unable to go to the polls because of unfortunate situations.
Yes, sir.
And Tuni, yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's basically what we just got through saying. Yeah.
Tom Combs said, use the most conductive method to the individual voter. If the process is legal, the vote must be counted, period. Penny Steele says people need to vote in person. Mail-in ballots allow for too much of an opportunity for fraud.
That's correct.
And that's about as short and sweet as anybody can say that right there. Well said, Tom.
Lindsay Rogers Hardy said absentee voting or voting mail-in by request is okay in my eyes, but mailing a ballot to every eligible voter is not okay. It opens up too many opportunities for fraud and will compromise the election.
You know, and these are all good, valid points, but where the fraud is probably going to take place is right at the post office, in my opinion. I mean, it happens.
Well, my question is, if they do this and they collect all these ballots at the post office, who's going to count them?
Exactly.
You know,
Is there going to be a Dem or a Republican that counts the votes.
You have, well, it's just like the 3 persons that got arrested in New Jersey about 3 months ago. They found out that they manipulated the votes in favor of the Democrats.
Yep.
And
that was like 14 million votes or something, wasn't it?
I'm not sure really how many
like
votes that it was. I remember reading it, and I remember seeing it on the news.
Yeah.
But I don't recall how many. But irregardless, if it's 1 or 10 million, that's fraud.
Yeah.
That's fraud, and they should go to jail.
And that's federal stuff.
Yeah.
That's
That's what I don't
That's what blows me away. They just turn a deaf ear to it. James Graham said the Postal Service delivers mail to the wrong addresses all the time.
Amen.
Ain't it so? What is to say they can get ballots delivered to the right addresses? Thus, voter fraud is unstoppable, and you can't trust anyone to be honest when it comes to any election. Absentee ballots are different. And that's correct.
Yeah, we've kind of covered that, but James, that's absolutely correct.
Who the hell are you going to trust anymore?
It's crazy.
Yep.
It really is. Barbara Whiteside Conley says, when we experience identity theft, the Postal Service jumped in with both feet to help because stolen goods were being transported. I trust the Postal Service. I don't trust the dishonest people that set out to break the law. Yeah, okay, Barbara, I respect that. Yeah. I do respect that.
Well said. Chuck Francie said, I am totally out on this because of 1, voter fraud. 2, no way to prove who you actually voted or for whom you actually voted. It could have been a 13-year-old kid. And 3, you can't trust a post office to get you the form or get it back in time, and the list goes on.
Yeah, it really is.
That's about where it starts.
So if you have a deadline to get all these ballots in, if that does go into effect,
yeah.
Let's say November the 2nd is the deadline, and then the election don't go the way one party wants it, there's going to be all kinds of hoopla about, wait a minute, there's a lot of ballots that didn't get counted because they didn't get into the post office in time. Yeah, and he was right. The list goes on.
Yeah, it's just one thing after another, it seems like. It's too much of crap.
Jerry Williamson said there's too much room for foul play with mail-in balloting. COVID can't be used as an excuse when I see people everywhere.
That's right.
And he's right.
Got my vote on that one. Well said, Jerry.
Attaboy, Jerry.
Twyla Richards says Democrats are so desperate they will cheat to win. They have proven this fact that nothing is beneath them, and this is the reason they want mail-in voting, so they can cheat.
You know, one of the most famous examples happened right here in the state of Texas. And that was back when Lyndon Baines Johnson was running for a senator.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it was proven but never brought charges against him that they really stuffed the ballot box in order for him to win that Senate seat.
Yeah.
And then the rest, they say, is history because he wound up as president after John Kennedy got shot.
Yeah.
But good Lord.
I think it was all set up, and he might have been slightly involved in all that mess. I don't know. Had my own little thoughts about that.
Renee Cooper Francie had an example of mail-in ballots and explained that you can see a number on it, followed by a D for Democrat and R for Republican. Now, what we're talking about is that she sent in actual pictures.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen those on our site, then you need to go on there and see what we're talking about. She says someone can say, oh, look, a vote for a Republican candidate, so let's trash that. So, yeah, I'm not interested in putting my life in the hands of something so unsecure.
Myself. I trust the post office about as much as I trust any politician. James Gordon Wolfe said, for some people there is no recourse. Otherwise, I think it's best to go vote. If If that's a person's only recourse, I would sympathetically allow it. Yeah, I wouldn't agree with it, but I probably would too.
Yeah. Boyd Palmore up in Georgia says it's too easy to fix ballots and cheat. No way to check if a person is a registered voter. And since the Democrats are in favor of it and pushing so hard, then you know they are all ready to cheat. In Georgia, we have to show who we are before we can vote. So I'm saying no to mail-in voting.
By God.
Could you tell us how you really feel there, Boyd?
That's right. Jeff Thompson asks if the post office can guarantee delivery. I don't like the chain of custody from state to fed and back to state. Lost mail is common. I think that would lead to lawsuits and challenges that may end up nullifying whatever the result. What is the procedure for a failed or compromised election? Maybe take-home ballots that can be hand-delivered to poll sites. I'm voting in person because I want to know my vote made it. And that's probably about what needs to be done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, very insightful comments today, folks, on that. And we're not trying to be political. We're just talking about what people are talking about today. And just looking at your comments, you are concerned about this too. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm sure there's some great Democrats out there that are thinking the same thing, because not all Democrats are bad, and if we portray that, I'm sorry if we do that, because I know personally of some good Democrats out there that care about our country and how it's run, and run fairly and justly.
Well, and it's equally fair to say not all Republicans are good as well.
That's correct.
I mean, there's going to be cheating. There's bad apples in every basket. So
yeah, every tree has a rotten one on it.
That's right.
Let's take a look, Pappy, at the viewer comments that were sent in to us. Rowdy Rop commented on our show about Sharia law by saying those who follow and allow this BS abuse need to be committed to a mental asylum, for clearly they are delusional, deceptive, and immoral.
But in their own way. So,
okay.
Stephen W. Crenshaw sent his comment in about allowing National Guard and military to end the riots. He said as long as the guards are from their state, don't send Texans to Washington or Californians to Texas. That's a pretty profound statement.
It is.
Self-explanatory, I'm sure. Josh Brooks then replied to him saying, if we somehow ever required California's guard to protect Texas, just know we are all screwed at that point.
It's
very well said, guys.
And
I concur with that wholeheartedly. I do.
Prepare for Tomorrow sent this in on YouTube concerning term limits for Congress. He says Congress will not support their own term limits. They would be voting for their demise. The only way to implement term limits is to bypass Congress with a constitutional convention of states. Get rid of any congressmen who have been there for more than 12 years.
Now, I might be willing to go 4 years, but I think every 2 years they ought to shake the basket. See what falls out.
I could see that, yeah.
And last but not least, Racer X. I know who you are. Let me remind you out there, big boy. Karma's a bitch. He knows what I'm talking about. Racer X commented on defunding a police show. He says, oh yeah, while we're at it, defund and eliminate all policing in the state of New York. It would be a hoot to watch it dissolve in the movie Escape. It would be a hoot to watch it devolve in the movie Escape from New York. Put up cameras and the rest of the nation will have a marathon TV watching parties. Woohoo! That would dip into our field office time now. Because I know they're not going to
Lord of mercy. Have mercy.
Yeah, but that's well said.
Well, thank you all for your comments on that. Yeah. Don't forget, you can always send us in your ideas for show subjects or your comments, anything you'd like to tell us
that's a challenge on my behalf. Send us something to talk about.
Just send it one of two ways. First of all, you could send it to our email address, which is grandpaandpappy@gmail.com.
Indeed it is.
Or
you can send it right into the show website at www.grandpa, the letter N, Pappy, grandpaandpappy.com. While you're there, push on this big red button you're about to see.
right there it is.
I wouldn't lie to you about that. Create a password and subscribe. You know, just like my amigo here says, it won't cost you one thin dime. So,
It will not, and we would appreciate it. And have a chance to watch some of our past shows, too. This is show
69.
number 69 that we just are completing. So we appreciate all of your participation in it.
And keep in mind, we are still accepting pre-orders on the T-shirts that'll be in here in a couple of weeks. So if you want to save shipping and get you some free rubber bling bling that glows in the dark, order up. I'd be more than happy to save you that.
There you go. There
Even
you go.
happier to ship it to you. So.
Be sure to join us on Wednesday. We may be talking about good food in the restaurants. In the meantime, if you know of a good restaurant, send us your thoughts and tell us about what they feature on the menu and what you like. And we might just wind up talking about it on Wednesday.
Yeah, and and we've discussed kind of mixing the show up. I know a lot of people I know I am I'm about done with everything that's going on. It's not so that I'm so sick of it being an election year. I'm just sick of what the hell's going around,
Well, I think a lot of people are
the
same way, but unfortunately, until November the 2nd, it's going to be that way. People
That's
are gonna
when
be
it's going to
talking.
begin, right there.
Oh, hold on. Wait a second, Miss Karen. Hold on. Let me get you all plugged up here. Okay, go ahead.
Also, just to put it out there, we're going to be doing a special 9/11 show on 9/11.
Yes.
So I think the question out there is, where were you and what were your memories
Yeah.
of that day? So
And-
just wanted to put that out there to get that in, because it's going to take us a little time to put that show together.
Right.
I'm sure there will be a montage that will put a crocodile tear on your cheek.
There probably will be.
She's the master of the montage.
She is it.
Yeah.
We hope you'll join us back on Wednesday. And in the
Let us hear from you.
meantime, we want you to be very safe. Take care of each other. Hug your kids and let them know you love them.
Let them know Grandpa and Pappy and Special K loves them too, by God.
Absolutely. So we'll see you back on Wednesday. Until then, take care. God bless.
And take care of one another.
And we'll see you. Bye-bye.